Just a Candle, featuring Mark Lanigan. That was Wax Taylor here on KRFF 95.9 LPFM, RadioFreeFargo.org, streaming everywhere on the blue and green marble you hail from. We can get into yo-e-hole. And specifically this hour, we talk about cannabis, the benefits of cannabis in general, cannabis legalization. And it's going to be a good one. We got a good one lined up for you. Right before me in the morning is Country with Trav, 9 to 11. I might have those hours wrong. Then you got Automation, Fred, spelled with a P, the AI robot feeding you tunes when we ain't doing it. And by we, I mean humans. Cannatalk-ND with Wilson, that's me. 4 o'clock I get in here. 4:20, open a big fat bag of cannabis news. And it's kind of a rare occurrence that I'm going to have a call-in guest today if things work out. Apparently, August 1st, there was a lot of cannabinoids illegalized in the state of North Dakota, and apparently a young girl who utilized it for her epilepsy got caught up in the politics of it all. And so the guy that sold it to her, which sounds funny because it was the parents, obviously, but it sounds a little crazier when I say sold it to the little girl. But anyway, 4:20, things work out. We'll talk to him about the nuances of what that means August 1st. And I read, and we have an article here that said that CBG, which is the cannabinoid in question for this little girl, seems to be legal still. So we'll talk about that at 4:20. So stick around. I believe God created cannabis for us to use as we see fit, and I worship him every Sunday. 10 a.m. we do a recovery class for all you junkies. And I say that loosely because I am too, so no offense, you junkies. But anyway, 11 a.m. we do worship for the man upstairs. I'm on stick duty. Come on through. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. Black Cottage Alchemy does 1,600 mgs of CBD, homegrown hemp in the state of North Dakota into a body butter. Whips it up with a bunch of stuff, colloidal silver and the like. Thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring the show. Okay, where are we? You're listening to Radio Free Fargo, 95.9 KRFF Community Radio. You a business owner? You a manager? You a nonprofit organization? Considering advertising? Why not learn what underwriting is on a nonprofit community radio station it's a typo. Why not learn what underwriting is on a nonprofit community radio station like Radio Free Fargo? To learn more about what underwriting is, please contact us at our website, www.radiofreefargo.org, or at our profile on Facebook. And why not listeners let you know, man, I am ahead of it here. I got to slow down. Why not let listeners know that you support the community by supporting a community radio station? Again, Cannatalk-ND with Wilson, that's me. After me, Stinky Arts Music Mart. Then we got the mixtape. And then to wrap it up is Artemis Shrine. And then, of course, you got Friday and Saturday and Sunday and all the other days for you to tap in and see what KRFF is doing audibly. We got something for you, I can assure you. 4:20, we'll open a big fat bag of cannabis news, so stick around for that. Again, we're going to have a call-in guest. We're going to discuss August 1st, cannabinoids becoming illegal in the state of North Dakota, what that means, what that even means. You know, because I thought Delta 8 was already illegal. So we'll talk about that at 4:20. Stick with me. We're going to play some tunes now. If you're living under a rock, you know that, or you don't know that Robbie Robertson, the songwriter for most of the groovy songs of the band, passed away today, I believe. So this is how we do it. Here's Modern Blues, The Color of Money. Robbie Robertson, 95.9. And we're back. Rest in peace, Robbie Robertson. That was Modern Blues, The Color of Money, from the soundtrack of the movie Robbie Robertson, here on KRFF 95.9, RadioFreeFargo.org, Cannatalk-ND with Wilson. That's me. Welcome to another hour where we talk about cannabis, the benefits of cannabis, cannabis legalization, and on the other side of our next musical break, it'll be 4:20, and we'll have a call-in visitor dropping in through the sonic airwaves. I think his name's Casey, but I'm not even sure. I don't even know where he's from. But we'll find all that stuff out. Because again, August 1st, apparently a lot of cannabinoids in the state of North Dakota became taboo. So, and it stinks, because if you start to utilize it for something that you need and it benefits you, and then it's like they renege it, and it's like, oh, never mind. We were wrong before, and now we think we're right now, and so we're going to take this thing that helps you. And it's again, I always mention it, but it's Lucy and the stinking Charlie Brown and the football. You get down there, you think, well, they're not going to pull the football this time, and then boom, they do. For the greater good. However, you'll have people talking like my children benefit from this particular thing. You know, you're demonizing it for no reason, and it's usually, money. But I don't know. 420 will open a big fat bag of cannabis news, so stick around for that, and I'm going to break you something off here. Let's see, what should we talk about? What should we talk about? Now, this is interesting. Minnesota reformer, non-citizens must be very careful about Minnesota cannabis legalization. Admitting cannabis use can have devastating immigration consequences. Now, Minnesota is the 23rd state to legalize cannabis, and I guess you don't really know how it'll affect, you do a blanket statement, but then they start picking it apart. Like, should you have used that integer right before there? Maybe that's not the proper adjective, right? It might imply the noun is up to no good. Because, so that's what's happening now. So I feel like all the naysayers, and like the Republicans, we'll talk about that, they've been messing around in Minnesota. The legislators, they're all upset. They seem to think there should be a special session. They think this law legalized, minors to consume. But one of these things, which seems relatively legit, is that lawmakers. So here's this guy. He writes, and he's a he's an illegal alien, I guess. It says undocumented in his bio in the bottom. I didn't make it up. So he says, as I wrote this past February, I feared that lawmakers would not be putting safeguards in the new law to protect non-citizens, not just undocumented Minnesotans, which he is. In short, cannabis continues to be considered a Schedule I drug under federal law, of course. So such designation impacts the rights of immigrants who are not U.S. citizens. So during his years working in immigration law and having conversations with friends, non-citizens believe they could use it as well. What folks do not realize is that non-citizens cannot freely engage within the new confines of the state cannabis laws without potentially devastating consequences. For example, if you're undocumented in Minnesota and your U.S. spouse sponsors you for permanent residency, a green card, you generally have to return to your home country to get approved. Once outside the U.S., you take a required medical exam. Maybe the green card process got you stressed out and you smoked a little. If you tell the physician, the consular officer interviewing you and reviewing your documentation could deny your green card. And getting back in the U.S. will be a mess. And federal immigration law makes no exceptions for cannabis that has been medically prescribed. So non-U.S. citizens charged with possession of cannabis often face immigration consequences, possibly deportation. So, more sinister, you do not need to be charged with possession. A simple admission could bring about consequences for a non-citizen. For example, if you are applying for U.S. citizenship, you must reveal your source of income or work history. Say you worked at a dispensary or owned a weed farm. Maybe you just admitted to having used illegal substances. Then you may be denied citizenship or other immigration rights. So we just got to keep that in mind, right? We got to keep that in mind. So let me read this. Programming on KRFF, LPFM, Radio Free Fargo 95.9 is being underwritten by Flatland Guitar and Lutherie. Flatland Guitars, your full-service guitar shop and your exclusive dealer for Yamaha, Taylor, and Paul Reed Smith guitars and other brands. They sell guitars on consignment. They take trade-ins and have a full-service on-site repair center. Check out Flatland Guitar and Lutherie on Facebook or visit them in person at their location at 1450 25th Street South in Fargo. Now, let's get a little music in here. This is the grooviest 23rd Psalm I've ever heard. These are my people, the Blind Boys of Alabama. You and your folks, 23rd Psalm, 95.9. Hey, you and your folks, 23rd Psalm right there, the Blind Boys of Alabama. You're listening to KRFF 95.9, Cannatalk-ND with Wilson every Thursday. It's 420. We got ourselves a guest today. So we got ourselves a guest today. Stick around. 2 seconds, and we're going to do it.
Hey, it's Phil from Cannaheads. Like this episode? Hit that like button. And if you enjoy the show, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on cannabis news, local and national. Listen live on 95.9 in the Fargo, North Dakota region from 4 to 5 p.m. on Thursday. For our non-Fargo region friends, you can listen on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Cannatalk-ND with Wilson. Now enjoy the show.
And there we do it. Hello, everybody. How's it going? It's 420. It's time to open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and we're going to do that right now. And we got somebody calling in. We got to talk about August 1st. Apparently in North Dakota, a lot of cannabinoids became illegal. So if you were utilizing one of them and you aren't paying attention, you might just be breaking the law today. And so we got Casey on the phone right now. Can you hear me, Casey?
I hear you loud and clear, Wilson.
That's beautiful. Well, thanks for calling in.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
Okay.
I'm calling in.
Okay, so let's figure this thing out. Now, so CBD, cannabinoids, those are illegal, right? CBD is still good?
So it really depends on what medium you're looking at taking it.
Okay.
With 2096 passing, essentially what is left for North Dakota, legally speaking, is CBD in regular bud form,
okay,
tincture form, and topical form. Even as going as far as CBD in a regular gummy bear, nothing psychoactive along with it. CBD and gummy is now considered illegal for North Dakota.
Even a funny peach square?
Peach square, even if it has, a gross, non-appealing flavor to it,
right?
They've just completely done away with it.
Okay, so I've pulled up this Minot Daily News article here, and I know CBG is kind of like, well, why we're discussing it, why you're even talking to me today. Apparently there's like a young girl who utilized it for her epilepsy, I'm guessing, and she can no longer use that. Is that true?
Yes. But Farm Bill Act is one. Oh, sorry.
Well, I just can't help but notice, like I'm reading this article, and they said CBG products are allowed. A majority of these products are allowed. So I'm just trying to get some clarification here, because it says here the isolates of CBD and CBG are still allowed if their total THC level does not exceed that 0.3%. Is that where Is that where we're getting hemmed up? Because it used to be stronger.
No, not at all.
Okay, go ahead.
The state is actually referencing a bill that the FDA has,
okay,
basically stating that if it is not an FDA-approved ingredient, it is technically not legal to have.
Oh.
Now, this has been the law for the entire country going as far back as I think to the 80s, if I remember correctly, but it's one of those things that's never been enforced. North Dakota is now giving authority to the Commissioner of Department of Agriculture, and he intends to enforce these rules.
And that's been and he's sent letters to people, I'm guessing, he's planning on doing that.
Yes, we actually received a letter, I think it was about the Wednesday or Thursday right before August 1st, telling us that we may be affected by some of the things that we may carry. It wasn't a definitive, hey, this is what's coming or anything like this. It was just kind of a, hey, look into it on your own time kind of deal. So we are really surprised by it all.
Yeah, so, because I've used CBG and a CBN blend to sleep, and it's awesome. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't understand what the issue is, but for me, I always use it as like stinking Charlie Brown and Lucy, You think, well, this is the time she's not going to pull the football. She always pulls the football, and you land on your back. So it's like you start to use something that works, and then you're like, you know what? We don't care that it works. We're going to go ahead and say that it doesn't, right? I don't understand why they're choosing to do that now.
Absolutely agreed. And one of the things that's so frustrating is, to my knowledge, at no point did they give a reason why they have gone so far. The psychoactive side of things we can kind of understand, see where they're coming from.
Sure.
But the medicinal options like CBD and CBN, it's just kind of out of nowhere, and it's hard to understand, really.
Right. And again, I would imagine, certainly for children, pharmaceutical drugs is not what I would prefer to give my child, right? If there was a natural option, something that was least pervasive, I would go that route. And I'm assuming that's what they did. And then you look at, does it work, right? Does this natural, non-pharmaceutical, horrible option, right, work? And if it does, I can't see why that isn't acknowledged, especially when, politicians love using for the children as their platforms, right? They love doing that. We can't do it because of the kids. Well, you did it despite it helping a child, right? So again, it all kind of confuses me. And of course, I do a cannabis show, so I'm definitely for it. But it really and even when I was getting signatures, thousands of people would come up to me and say, well, man, I used to stutter. I used to have nerve issues and all this stuff. But yet we still demonize it, But then nobody wants to believe the conspiracy theory that it's all, because of money, that they want to keep the synthetic junk, and the cash cow from that.
It definitely is a possibility, but if you look across the country, and this kind of fuels one theory that's going around, a lot of other states are starting to ban these alternative cannabinoids like Delta-8 and hemp-derived Delta-9, right, even in recreational states, because it's eating into tax profit. So one theory is that North Dakota actually has plans for recreational in the near future, but this way they've got all the funds going directly to them. No, I can't say that if it's true or not, but I've heard crazier things for sure.
Right. So I'm trying to wrap my brain around it. So they say it may be affected, and I'm reading it here where it says CBG is going to be good, right? Like it isn't going to be affected. When will you know? Like when they just show up? Do you think this is just a scare tactic? And it's not really founded on anything. You know what I mean? Like you could still do it because it says full spectrum and isolates are still allowed if it doesn't exceed a particular thing.
It does, but if you look in there are so many points where it says basically to be decided upon by the commissioner, the commissioner.
Oh.
And that's the thing that's really been concerning is because if you recall back in 2021, North Dakota actually outlawed Delta-8 and Delta-10.
And I was going to bring that up. So that's currently illegal right now, right? Delta-8 or 9? No, 8.
Yeah.
8, right? Like I couldn't fly out of Hector with Delta-8, could I? No.
No, technically Delta-8 and 10 have been illegal since 2021 for North Dakota.
That's right. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but a lot of, if I remember correctly, Fargo didn't really follow that rule, and they kept selling in many shops out here as well. And then that's the part that kind of concerns me is they're now shifting authority. If it was just the police, maybe a scare tactic. But now that the commissioner has authority to do as he sees fit, it's a whole different ballgame.
Oh, the power has shifted. Because, see, I remember the big scare thing, right, when the Delta-8 came through, and there were shops that were like, well, we're not even going to mess with it, even though technically, apparently there was a lawsuit that was placed because of inventory that would have had to have been destroyed because of all of a sudden, surprise, we're making it illegal. And I heard that until that court lawsuit had been, solved, that it would stay legal until that particular lawsuit had came to fruition. That's what I always thought about that, like you mentioned, the 2020 Delta-8 illegality. Because I thought, like, there were businesses that sued them, and then it was in limbo, and then until that, and as well as I do, lawsuits can go for 100 years if, if they want to. So it just, I thought it was still technically legal until that lawsuit had been, it had been wrapped up. So I don't know. So you're saying the commissioner, so that's horrible. So CBG works for seizures then, huh?
There's quite a few different cannabinoids that will work on the CB1, CB2 receptors.
Okay.
The CBD and CBG, they're just flat out to the point the U.S. government actually has a patent on a medication that has CBD in it, and it is specifically used for seizures. So it's not going to be a cure-all, as no medication or supplement or anything is. But yes, I had a little girl that her parents came in and were giving these two little gummies. It's a blend of CBD and CBG,
okay,
non-psychoactive, 10 milligrams apiece. And it went from the point where, I'm going to get choked up, she couldn't be in school because her seizures were so bad. But it got down to the point where she was being reintroduced to her class.
That's awesome. See, and I hear them stories, and it just fires me up. Same thing with, like, vets, right? These guys go over, and they risk their lives, lose limbs for our freedoms, and then when they come back, we tell them what'll work for them. You know what I mean? They'll come back, and they'll go, listen, White Widow concentrates helps our PTSD nightmares, right?
Right.
And we're like, well, we don't care. Hey, thanks for your service, but we don't care what's going to help you. Like, it don't make any sense to me. And same thing with, like, you alleviate, like, you let a child have a life, right? This blend helps this child be reintroduced, has a healthy life, right? That is an emotional thing, right? Because it works, and your parents are like, oh, man, Susie's excelling now. And then it's like, well, it doesn't matter because Commissioner Doug knows better. You know, it really frustrates me, and I can tell that it frustrates you because you see it, how it works. It works, but then somebody else, for whatever reason, and I always think it's just financially motivated, you know, the politics seems just be about the almighty dollar. But again, I'm just a person who likes to talk, you know, I'm sure I don't know what I'm talking about. But man, so then what will happen? So this girl have to go what? Onto some crazy prescription type med then, right? Or did that not even work?
So what her mother shared with me is there are pharmaceuticals that worked, but not anywhere near the way the gummies happen to be working for her.
It's amazing.
And even with that, when she was on the medications, like I said, she was essentially still being homeschooled because it was happening too frequently. And I did give the mother some options as far as other things to try and what to do, and had a heartfelt conversation, did my best to help her out, but I could tell she was still a little bit worried that something that worked so well for her young daughter is just gone, like with no heads up, nothing. Right.
And we're not talking like reckless, you know, craziness, right? Like I can get because I was reading somewhere like the WHO is going to finally, I think they're going to schedule stinking whippets, right? Like nitrous. I didn't even realize that nitrous was legal because they'd never created it as a substance. And it's like, well, crying out loud, you know, we're quibbling over something that helps a seizure. Meanwhile, a lot of these things just kind of slide under the radar, you know, that are kind of dangerous. I mean, I couldn't imagine like inhaling whippets all the time would be great for your brain. You know what I mean?
Oh, not at all. No.
But so there's just this crazy hypocrisy that really just kind of burns my hind end. So when I heard this human interest story that, of course, supports what I believe is that they're wrong and you and I are right, that this is just, it's kind of a shame, you know, that kids are getting kind of lost in the shuffle for whatever, political gain. I don't understand, you know, I don't know. And North Dakota's always kind of drugged their feet, as you know. And I kind of chuckled when they agreed to the farm bill with hemp, and then all of a sudden, magically, things started coming out of the hemp. You know, they're like, well, wait a minute. We just thought it was like hemp, like CBD. How are you getting Delta 9 out of that? You know, and I kind of laughed, you know, because it was kind of, I don't want to say sneaky, but it was kind of advantageous for them to be ignorant in that regard. You know what I mean? I mean, honestly.
Absolutely, and I think that just kind of brings to the point where the state needs to speak more with the people that are using this for medicine, that are using it on the daily, because we just have more information, more feedback than what they're grasping straws at.
Right. Yeah, they're not, I suppose, that's the separation. They're not listening to the people. But anyway, so what do you what's the advice for people then, before I let you go here, as they go forward in their purchases? Like what can they buy? They can't buy anything anymore because it's pulled off the shelves, or what?
So it's kind of a two-parter. So one, I have spoken with the Department of Ag. There is going to be talks in the months coming forward. Nothing guaranteed, but there is a chance that some of the policy may change slightly to allow some of these things.
Okay.
But they did specifically stress that they didn't want North Dakota to have the legal Delta 9 that the Farm Bill Act had allowed,
right,
or any of these other options. But the CBD and CBG, they seem to at least be willing to listen to our concerns about it. So there are some changes that hopefully will be coming in the months coming. The other side of it, if you don't mind me saying, it is only technically illegal for retailers to sell it. North Dakotans still can purchase online.
Oh. Uh-huh. Now,
so possession is still legal.
Okay, so HHC, those are out too?
Yes, all the psychoactives, HHC, THCO, THCP, even though THCP is completely naturally occurring, they have named it by name.
Oh, well, let me riddle me this. Can you order that stuff online as well?
Not to my knowledge, as far as the psychoactive options go. But with everything changing, it's not something that we've really tried. We just kind of been working with our transition and what the bill means.
Gotcha. Well, Casey, thanks for calling in. This was a good conversation, and I hope whoever was listening kind of gets an idea what you kind of fight against, because you find something that works, and then the powers that be decide, they decide without any sort of... And then it's like, it's like they rate the uproar, I almost feel, right? Like if people are willing to uproar, well, we'll rate that, and then maybe we'll make a concession. And that's just crap, to be honest. But thanks for calling in, Casey, and I hope things work out. And I think if anything happens further, because you speak so well on the phone, we'll have you back, and we'll talk about it some more.
I'd love to talk with you later, Wilson.
Okay, sweet,
Looking forward
man.
to it.
All right, later, Casey.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. Well, that was... beautiful. That was Casey from somewhere. I should have asked him where he was from, but that's not how I do it, I guess. But anyway, Cannatalk-ND with Wilson. Every Thursday I get in here, 420, open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and that was Casey discussing the bans and the illegalities that Commissioner Doug has decided to step up and do. So apparently it's the final version of SB 2096. It was signed into law by Governor Doug. It went into effect August 1st. And since CBD and hemp were legalized, the commissioner and other states have asked the FDA to clear this issue. So we'll see what's happening. So come August 1st, we're closing the door on products with any psychotropic drug. So that's HHC, THCO, that sort of thing. It looks like the CBGs and CBNs and CBD might... I think primarily it's the sneaky way they were able to get Delta-9 out of hemp. I just don't think they, with the quotes, knew what they were doing. And then once they made the mistake, now we have this. But anyway, thank you, Casey, for calling in. And I hope that family can find something natural that works as well. Because again, like pharmaceutical stuff, especially when you're young, I just don't think it's a good idea. You know what I mean? So let's run through some stuff. We got some articles to talk about here. Biden admin, this is from Cannabis Moment, has no record of cannabis letter cited by DEA. Remember the scheduling review directive? Well, remember when Biden got up and he said, hey, man, I'm sending a letter to the secretary to ask for the descheduling process. Well, they tried to get the letter, and apparently it doesn't even exist. So, of course, they say somebody must have misspoke. But he goes, there are aspects of this process that the public doesn't need and probably shouldn't be privy to. But the basic milestones, like the document that starts the process, we should be able to examine. So where is it? Biden publicly issued the directive and pardons on October 6th, but it could be the case that White House began notifying before. But, isn't that crazy? And that's typical. All of a sudden, there's no record. I've been waiting for the descheduling to happen. There ain't even been a letter happening. Now, this is interesting. Cannabis Moment. Federal appeals court rules that gun ban for cannabis consumers is unconstitutional. Let's give that statement a hand. A federal appeals court has ruled that the ban preventing people who use cannabis from owning pistoles is unconstitutional. The latest and highest level blow to the long-standing federal prohibition that's actively being challenged in a number of cases across the country. 3-judge panel agreed to reverse the conviction of a man who was sentenced to nearly 4 years after being pulled over with firearms and admitting to occasionally using cannabis. And that's crazy. He just like, yeah, I could use it every once in a while. How about 4 years in prison for that admission? Seems stupid. So anyway, apparently the historical context of the Second Amendment's original 1791 ratification, they established a historical analog to the gun ban, fell short. All right. So there you have it. And that's just, if you don't hear anything that I've said today, federal appeal courts rule that gun ban for marijuana consumers is unconstitutional. That is beautiful. So what else do we got here? Let's talk about this. Minnesota governor tells Republicans to stop spreading misinformation about cannabis legalization law. The governor of Minnesota says that the Republican lawmakers are spreading misinformation about the state's newly enacted cannabis law. While he believes the policy will continue to be tweaked, he will not be convening an urgent special session. So they basically are freaking out about this minor thing. So the governor said cannabis was not legal for minors before, and it's not legal now. As one reporter pointed out, it was the intent of the sponsors to remove criminal penalties for youth possession, but the violation itself remained on the books. So people under 21 could be charged with misdemeanors. Waltz said it didn't get into the law, and it's not the one we signed, so the intent of the authors will always be there. But the interpretation and the operationalizing, this will be our agencies, and there's no intention of taking that away from minors. It's simply illegal. And like any piece of legislation, there will things that will be changed. He goes, man, we're changing the alcohol laws 120 years after the fact. So the fact of the matter is, this idea of putting out false information, you can certainly debate the merits. We can certainly come back and take a look. But this was a thoughtful piece of legislation. It's not legal for minors to use cannabis. It wasn't then, it isn't now, and it won't be in the future. Ta-da! The governor was also asked about public cannabis consumption rules. He responded, the law makes it so individuals and local jurisdictions can make decisions, just like open containers. He again reiterated that he absolutely believes the cannabis law will be revised, which he said is the right way to approach this. I think that you should have an expectation there'll be tweaks. Tweaky, tweak, 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 tweak. The fact remains this is prohibition. The fact remains is this. Prohibition didn't work. It was punishing groups. We're not seeing any decline in the usage of this. The bottom line on this is those that are screaming or making up false information simply have no plan to address any of these issues. So there you go. Minnesota, again, Republicans are upset the governor is ignoring their cannabis legalizations. I'm not reading that article, but of course they are, But then again, it's like, well, where were you in the process? Like how come that wasn't pointed out? That's the thing about these stinking Republicans. They were in committee groups. How come that wasn't discussed? How come they didn't bring that up in that long stinking talk? Those Republicans love talking for hours before they voted. Those tear jerk, oh man, so-and-so died because of grass. What? You should have been focusing on what you're now spouting about, right? So they never do. So this is from Cannabis Moment 2. Bill Gates tells Seth Rogen he smoked cannabis in high school to be cool. He should have kept doing it, He kind of stopped being cool, didn't he? I don't know, just kidding. All right. So, let's look at this. Gwyneth Paltrow's cannabis brand is smoking the celebrity competition. So let's see. She's making $750,000 every month. Seth Rogen is only making $277,000 per month. Tyson, $300,000. Whizzy Whiz $209,000. Wow. So that's like almost $1 million a month. Crying out loud, Gwyneth. So anyway, you've been listening to Cannatalk-ND with Wilson. I'm Wilson. I'm here every Thursday, 4 o'clock. I get in here again. Thanks to Casey for calling in and shedding light on the illegalities of cannabinoids that just started on August 1st here in the beautiful state of North Dakota, where legends live. Anyway, I'm going to maybe talk about this quick. This is from Cannabis Now. Hi there, officer. Surviving a cannabis Dewey. And this is just going to be kind of fun, and I'll just read some stuff. Let's see. That's why, let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Whenever a legal cannabis market is about to roll out in a country, it doesn't matter which state, law enforcement gets squirrely. In their anxious mind, legal weed means that the roadways of their respective state are about to become a veritable hazard zone full of evil, reckless stoners, all red-eye, laughing controllably on a dope-addled mission to slaughter as many women and children as humanly possible before the smoke clears. That's why in the weeks leading up to the day when adults 21 and over can finally walk into a dispenso and buy cannabis, it's not unusual to hear a lot of jibber-jabber in the media about how LEOs are aggressively training officers and ramping up patrols. They want the non-consuming public to know their brave heroes are coming to the rescue. So, there is an article, Cannabis Now. You can check it out yourself. I thank you again for checking this show out. I'll be back next Thursday. And then it seems like there's a Thursday the first week in September. I will be hanging out with Dolly Parton. Me and Dolly Parton are going to kick it. Actually, I'm just going to go to where she has an amusement park. So I'll be in Pigeon Forge. Getting my Pentecostal on. My folks will be back in from Ecuador. They're going to make me wear a poncho. It's going to be a big deal. But anyway, programming on 95.9 Radio Free Fargo KRFLP is being underwritten by Drummer's Journey. Drummer's Journey offers percussion, instruments, hardware, electronics, accessories, and more. They have full service for drummers, including repair, custom building, and lessons. Drummer's Journey is located at Highway 10 East Mall in Moorhead, Minnesota. Their hours are Monday through Thursday, 11 to 7. Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 5. Sundays, noon to 5. For more info, check drummersjourney.com. They have a profile on Facebook. Now, let's get a music on, huh? It's a bunch. Spafford, 95.9. And thank you, everybody. You've been great. It's a bunch. Spafford, KRFF, 95.9. After me, Stinky Arts Music Mart, mixtape, then Artemis Shrine. On the best independent radio station as far as I'm concerned, Cannatalk-ND with Wilson. That's me, Wilson. We blew out a whole hour. Well, maybe not a whole hour if you're good at math, you know. But we talked about cannabis, the benefits of cannabis. Thanks to Casey again for calling in with that very informative few minutes regarding the cannabinoids that are now illegal in the state of North Dakota. So if you were using a psychoactive type, HHC, THCO, THCVBDRO, I just made that one up. That one's still legal because it's not real. But the ones that have health benefits to it, the CBNs, the CBGs, looks like that's still going to be allowed. So, again, thank you, Casey, for calling in and discussing that with me for you guys. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. 1,600 MIGs of locally grown hemp goes into that baby. A bunch of seasonings, little colloidal. Little coconut oil for your body. Thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring this show. Again, I believe God created cannabis for us to use as we see fit. I show him props every Sunday, Antioch Church, 10 a.m. recovery class, 11 a.m. worship. And if you're not doing anything, Saturday, it's my first gig in the park. I'm going to be playing gospel jams in the park. They're going to be free food, Rotary Club at Lindenwood Park from noon to 3. So come on through. Free food. I won't even, no strings attached, You don't want to hear a spiel about how the Holy Ghost will take care of you? Don't have to. Just come get yourself a bratwurst and listen to me. I'm like the Pentecostal Bon Scott. Was he the drummer? I don't think so. He was the singer. I'm an idiot. And I'm doing what I do best. I'm making stuff up. But anyway, I got to jump out of here. I got things that I may do that pays the bills. And it's something that I got to do. You got to pay the bills. But anyway, I'll be back in next Thursday. You guys rock. I rock. We all rock. Keep your heads up. Minnesota, we love you. Educate yourselves on the benefits of cannabis so you can educate others on said benefits. I'll be back in next Thursday. Until then, you guys be good to yourselves. It's David Allen, Judgment Day. Peace.